Hello everyone, and welcome to my brand new channel. I am the Metalist programmer, and on this channel we'll talk about programming and computers. More specifically, this channel is dedicated to a new project of mine, which is a brand new programming language. No, I don't yet have a programming language of my own, but I'm working on him. And this channel will be, at least in the beginning, a sort of vlog documenting my journey on the path of having my own programming language in the end. Well, in reality, there are going to be 5 different programming languages. Actually, 5 different languages, one programming, 4 others for different purposes. But we will talk about them more in detail in future videos. You might ask yourself, okay, but why a new programming language? We have so many out there on the internet, all of them pretty much free. Why yet another one? Well, there are multiple reasons for that. Aside from the fact that it's an interesting project to start, it can teach you a lot about computers, and you're forced to learn a lot about computers this way. It's also because this is one of the highest things that you can possibly do in the realm of computers. Okay, I've made all sorts of things in the past. Perhaps I should talk a little bit about myself before I get into deeper things. I've been a programmer for, I don't know, about 22 years, give or take. I've been professionally doing programming for about 17, give or take. I've done desktop applications, I've done web applications, I've created small presentation websites, online shops, scripts for Linux that run background processes and do various things. For one of my projects, I wrote my own web framework in PHP. I never actually got to finish the framework so that I can consider it a finished product that I can just put out on the internet. But still, I wrote my own web framework, and I created quite a few projects based on this framework. So I've had quite a bit of experience so far. For one of my projects, I even needed to create sort of like a small scripting language for something very, very specific. And I created 11 years ago, actually. I created what we could call a domain-specific language, basically a scripting language that is very custom and very much embedded into that application, which was very specific kind of application, so that I don't have to change the source code of the application herself whenever I wanted to my application to behave in a different way. I could just write a small script and the application would have a parser, an interpreter that would just execute my script. So 11 years ago, I came pretty close to, writing at least a scripting language, if not a programming language. And yeah, I want to take that further nowadays. Another reason that I want my own programming language is because, and it's not just about the language, to be clear. I'm not satisfied with what we have right now. Yes, we have many programming languages, but sadly, pretty much all of them require that we learn not just the programming language himself, but we also have to make use of third-party libraries, frameworks, because for some reason programming languages still don't really come with a framework of their own. At least the ones that are meant for web development. we have to be bothered with a whole bunch of things other than the programming language himself. And I hate that. I hate that idea. I want something that does not require me to have anything else in order to create a web application top to bottom. Maybe with a handful of exceptions, like, I don't know, I might need to do something that is rather advanced or specific, and I can just go grab a library from someone else. That's fine. But overall, I don't want to be bothered with multiple command line programs that require me to go into the command line interface, you know, type all sorts of commands to do this, to do that, and have to be knowledgeable about not just the programming language himself, but also the entire ecosystem. The entire concept of ecosystem is something that I really, really hate and don't like. I want to just start my editor, whatever that is, and I'm not talking about a simple editor, I'm talking about something like a true integrated development environment, and have everything there. Really, everything. I don't want to be bothered with anything else. The third reason, which kind of goes hand in hand with what I've talked so far, is because programming languages so far haven't really been efficient. And when I say efficient, I'm not strictly talking about the performance of the final product himself, even though that's important as well. I'm talking about the efficiency as a programmer, how hard or how fast, how easy or how fast it is for us to be able to get to the finished product. Do we have to work months and months and months in a row for a relatively big project? Or are we given enough tools that, you know, we can just work a single month and have a relatively big program, a big platform, a big piece of software in the end that is good, that doesn't have bugs or security problems or whatever? For the most part, we don't really have that nowadays, because for the most part, the IT industry still relies on the idea that if you want a big project, you hire multiple programmers, you make them work in parallel, and overall, you know, they will get you faster to the destination. So the fact that we still use programming languages and tools that are not really all that well made for the efficiency of a single program or of a single person, that doesn't matter anymore, because, you know, companies tend to compensate for that by hiring multiple people at the same time. That's a problem for people like me, who are basically lone wolves, and I will talk about this more in a future video. I do not work in a team. I do not work with a team. I could work with one, maybe two other people in extreme cases, but ultimately, when it comes down to the work of the programmer, I am the one doing it. I do not have other programmers around me. I do not enjoy the idea of being in a team of programmers, and this means that in order for me, a single person, to work on a big project, I need to have really well made tools that empower me to do so. So far, I don't see any tool available to that degree, because, like I said, the IT industry sadly is not made in such a way as to support single lone wolves that work on an entire project, especially when the project is big. And I've heard all sorts of things that in a way make sense. Things like, you know, big companies don't like to trust a single person to deliver what he needs to deliver. If he fails along the way, then it's a problem for them, both in terms of time and in terms of money and other things. Well, A single person cannot be a problem in terms of money, realistically speaking. No matter how much you pay him, he's still a single person. He will still be much, much cheaper than 5 people, 10 people, 100 people team. So that's not a problem. But the time problem is, and you know, I can say that I understand that perspective. However, that still doesn't changes my life and my choices. I refuse to work in a team. I work alone. I want to be able to do single-handedly entire projects. And I have done so far. The problem is right now, you know, I'm not young anymore. I'm getting close to the age of 40. If in the past I had no problem staying in front of the computer 4 months or 6 months in order to work on a single project, nowadays I kind of have. I don't want to stay 6 months or even a year. Like right now I could take over a project that would probably take me an entire year to work on. I don't want such a thing to take an entire year. I want to be able to produce source code faster and to get faster to the destination, whatever that may be. Sadly, right now I do not see I have those necessary tools. So I thought of starting to create my own tools. We'll see how far I can go. Anyway, if I fail, it's not gonna be a complete failure. It's still gonna be a useful experience. Last but not least, I believe we need a unification. The fact that there are so many programming languages and scripting languages is not really all that good thing. It simply means we cannot agree to have a single language to work with. Like, think about it. As human beings, due to various historical reasons, we ended up using English as an international language. Now, I'm not gonna get into the debate. English is demonstrably a very poor language, a very, very problematic language from many points of view. However, at the same time, that the simplicity of the English language make her useful to be used as an international language. And it's great that English is the international language that we can all use, at least in order to exchange simple ideas around. This does not exist in the IT world, in the world of technology. And we need that. I see the need to have a single language with which we can compile and produce binary files for Windows, for Linux, or binary files that work directly on the processor. So without an operating system, you know, I know Rust can do that. I'm not a fan of Rust though. We need a single language with which we can create websites. We need a single language that can be run in browsers as a scripting language. We need a single language, ideally a single language everywhere. That would make things so much easier. Because once we learn that language, we would no longer need to learn anything else. In terms of syntax, in terms of how the language asks us to think about the problems, how the language asks us to act on the problems that we need to solve, and so on and so forth. So I'm gonna attempt to at least start this sort of unification of the programming languages and other languages as well. We will talk more in future videos. On my channel you will also see various videos here and there explaining why many things in the world of technology today are just backwards, weird, inefficient, not well thought of, and just in general things that should have been reinvented from the scratch, but they have never been. To give you a simple example what I'm talking about, think of the web technologies starting with HTML, CSS, JavaScript. HTML was never reinvented. In my opinion, at some point we should have drawn a line and said, okay, we are creating a new HTML that has absolutely nothing to do with the old one. Okay, we are learning our lessons from the past, but we are creating a brand new one that has no compatibility at all with the previous ones. Same thing with CSS. This has never been done. We will talk about more in future videos. Anyway, not to make this video way too long, this is pretty much what you will see on my channel. I'm a very opinionated guy. I've had taken a certain path in the world of programming that most people haven't, most programmers haven't. It's okay for you not to agree with me. Just bear in mind that, you know, these will be my perspectives, my thoughts, my ideas, my desires. I will leave the comments open, but I will not read the comments. I do not care to be bothered with the comments, and I'll definitely not answer anything. I'll leave the comments open just so that you can talk amongst each other, but just so you know, don't expect me to interact in any way. If you find my content useful, my videos useful, perfect. I'm glad. This is why I make them. If not, not a problem. Don't come here again. Plenty of other channels for you. That's pretty much it. I don't think I have anything to add right now. So I will be working on a new video that I will release shortly after. Once again, thank you very much for stopping by. Please hit the subscribe button if you would like to see more. And I will talk to you soon. Bye bye.